So what you got going on there? What'd you discover?
So as a result of the brakes being applied for probably 30 miles, had a small fire. All right, on our way to John Martin State Park, we left the Walmart in La Junta. I don't know, probably 30 miles outside of town. TPMS goes off, and said the left front tire was about 195 degrees, which obviously that's a problem. So the warning little bell goes off on the TPMS. So I pull over on this shoulder, which you know, on this kind of a busy little highway, 2-lane highway. I go back and I can immediately smell you know, hot brakes. So I get underneath there, and of course the left front is smoking, and I look through there and damn fire. So I got fire underneath there and smoke coming out, so I rush in and get the fire extinguisher. Put that small fire out. I'm not sure what that was. Might have just been oil or grease or something. And I've never had it happen before. And just before we left, you know, I went through the whole vehicle and looked at all the brakes and all that. So I'm confident that wasn't the problem. And so I got to looking around at the tow hitch, because I know the only other reason would be the braking system on the tow bar. My particular tow bar, it's a surge brake system right here. And somehow, from the time we left our parking area there, after I hooked up, this cable got wrapped up around the top of this surge brake lever. It was applying brakes that entire distance. So, as brakes do, they heat up. And so we got a little smoke and fire on that left front. Fortunately, the TPMS let me know, you know, at about 195 degrees, and you know, had I not had that, I would have been none the wiser, and it's very, very possible that front end of the Jeep would have burnt up. I mean, you see it all the time. Vehicles pull over the side of the road from hot brakes that you know, go up in flames. So I think I've got some repair work in store for me. And so yeah, lucky day. So I'm going to let things cool down. It's down to about 125 degrees now on that left front. I'm going to let it cool about another 20 degrees, just so I can get kind of a baseline 100 degree or so temperature when we take off. So as we roll, if it starts to heat up again, then I should be able to tell pretty quickly. I definitely don't want it to get up to 200 degrees again. Anyway, yeah, got my safety triangles out. I'm glad I bought those just before we left, thinking, nah, probably never use them, but what the heck. I do have a set of nice LED flares as well for nighttime. Hopefully I never have to use those either. So there you have it. You know, these things happen in the blink of an eye. Fortunately, I was able to put that small fire out and you know, move on. And it didn't do, hopefully not too much damage was done to the Jeep.
So what you got going on there? What'd you discover?
So as a result of the brakes being applied for probably 30 miles, and the rotor's getting red hot, had a small fire. Literally extinguished that pretty quickly. Just checked everything, didn't do any damage. Need to replace the brake pads. They still have plenty on them, but I'm definitely going to replace them. So we were rolling down the road. It was making this clanking, clunking noise. So as part of the investigation, I found that the metal shroud, or the backing plate, which is just a thin piece of metal, was actually rubbing up against, as it was rotating, it was rubbing up against the rotor, making a hell of a racket. So just bent that back out of the way, cleaned some of the junk out. So we should be good to go.
Make sure you carry a fire extinguisher, very important. Ours happened to be right inside the door, so as soon as Brian discovered that there was a flame, he was able to run, grab it, and get the fire out very quickly.
Yeah. Within 15 seconds.
Within 15 seconds. It was a scary 15 seconds though. And the other, I think, really good point here is, did you mention we have a TPS system?
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yes.
really saved the day for us.
Definitely.
Yeah. So we'll get this thing fixed, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll get back on the road.
Yeah. New pads. I might put a new rotor on it, just for the heck of it. If I can't get this one cleaned, then I'll just get new rotors. So brake pads, new rotors in the front, probably $100 and 3 or 4 hours worth of labor. No big deal.
And get yourself a husband who's a great mechanic.
Done it many times. Done this many times, brake jobs, rotor jobs. So the only problem now is I don't have all the air tools and stuff I had in my home garage. So I'm limited on really how much I can do. What I can do this job no problem, but anything much heavier, wouldn't really be able to do it. So, yeah. So, nice and quiet. We made it to our campsite here at John Martin State Park. I'll show you a little bit more about the easy tire pressure monitoring system that I have installed and all the sensors on the wheels and how that works. But you can set those temperature thresholds manually. I went with the default. I think I'm going to dial that down a little bit. I'm not sure what it's set at. I think it may be like 190 degrees. Maybe I'm going to dial that down to 150 or something like that, give myself a little more time in case something like that happens again. In any case, yeah, we got off the side of the road, let things cool down, and then I put Shauna in the Jeep for a little bit, towed her in the Jeep behind the rig for a little while, had her kind of hold the steering wheel to see if there's anything really pulling or any vibrations that I needed to be concerned about before I just went back on the roadway and went basically full speed again. So put her in there, everything was fine. She didn't feel any pulling or grinding or anything. She did notice a slight noise, sort of a metal grinding noise, and I kind of had an idea what that was. So we got to the next little town, pulled off the side of the road into this parking lot, and pulled the tire off, got up underneath there, and sure enough, the metal plate, sort of a rock guard, if you will, I suppose. I'm not sure the exact technical term for it, some kind of a dust shield. Anyway, that had probably warped because of the heat, and sort of became misshapen and was rubbing against the rotor. And as it was turning, it was just creating that grinding noise, and it was pretty loud. So anyway, I got a screwdriver in there and kind of bent that back into shape, and it was fine after that. So, yeah, that was quite an ordeal. You see the side of the road all too often, the carbecues, as we call them in Arizona. People riding their brakes, or for whatever reason, cars burn up. I had that vision in my mind there on the side of the Highway 50. This is a tire pressure sensor, and right now I have it in the protective housing, and I'll take this off here in a minute and show you. But anyway, you can see sort of some of the residue from spraying the chemical fire extinguisher on this to put out the small fire that was back there. I really don't know. I looked at everything. I didn't see anything melted. I really don't know what that little bit of fire was from, unless it was from the brake pad itself, had melted and just kind of started to, the resin in there perhaps was on fire. Yeah, that was a little bit scary. And having been on the flight line in the Air Force for so many years and dealing with aircraft fires and things like that, it's kind of second nature for me to put that small fire out. I have been in aircraft that have been on fire, and not a fun situation to be in. And so I guess that training sort of kicked in. So this is the Easy Tire tire pressure monitoring system sensor, and I've got it on this little anti-theft device that they provide along with the kit. Anyway, this is the sensor, screws right onto the valve stem, and you set these up according to which tire position you're in. So this is T2, or tire position 2. the right side's tire position 1, and then the back are 3 and 4. So anyway, and then this is also linked and coded to the monitor. And again, this is pretty simple, just screws off, just like that, and then screws back on. Pretty simple. And then this anti-theft device just kind of goes back on over the top of it, just like that. And it's just more of a deterrent than anything. It just kind of keeps people from, you know, screwing that sensor right off. This is the Easy Tire pressure monitoring system monitor that I have mounted basically right at the steering column on my RV, and you know, I can't say enough about this little thing. It certainly gave me the type of warning that I would expect it to give me, and you know, potentially, you know, saved me, you know, a vehicle perhaps. I've got this set up for our motorhome, obviously 6 tires on the motorhome and then 4 tires on our towed. It's not reading every tire right now, but you can scroll through and it'll give you the front tire pressure and temperature and so on and so forth. And depending on your rig, you know, you would set it up however you would like. All I can say is that this system did its job, and I would highly recommend if you're pulling any sort of vehicle, even if you're not pulling a vehicle, especially on these big rigs where you have, you know, dualies, sometimes you have a tag axle in back, and you know, I just think it's super important to have this kind of stuff. One, it just gives you situational awareness, because I mean, how many times do you see going down the road pieces of tires laying all over the road? A lot of those come from semis, true, but you know, those things just come undone very, very quickly. So I think the more time you have to determine what's going on and you know, select a course of action, instead of just, you know, keep on trucking and have no idea what's going on, and then all of a sudden you just have chaos, right? So I'll leave a link to this particular system in the description of the video, and at least just go check it out. I mean, there are a ton of YouTube videos out there that show you how to set these things up and all those things. This is just not going to be that kind of video, like I said. This is just more of a public service announcement, if you will. That's you know, from first-hand experience, you know, it definitely saved the day. So definitely do your research. Don't just rush out and buy any one. Find out what fits your budget, what fits your vehicle, you know, all of the features and things that you want to have. And that's pretty much it. Wraps this up. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you would have done in this particular case had you not had a TPMS to give you warning. And if you've had something like this happen, by all means, leave comments below. Give me a big thumbs up if you liked the video. And if it's your first time here, thanks for coming along. Hit that subscribe button. Mash that notification bell as well. That way you'll be notified whenever we have new videos coming out. That would be awesome. See ya.